Hello and welcome back to WRD Reads. We are on to the commentated chapter of Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, or Philosopher's Stone, chapter 14, Norbert, the Norwegian Ridgeback. Yes, this is the one that is extremely difficult to speak. I gotta make sure. Um, uh, One of those horrible tongue twisters. This is, of course, the commentated reading, not the clean reading. The clean reading's already been uploaded, and I'm blowing up suddenly. My last couple videos have gotten several hundred views. So if you're one of those, if this video is getting several hundred views, and if you're one of those, awesome, thank you, welcome. Please go back to the beginning, check out chapter 1, because we've been doing this since the beginning. And chapter 1 commentary is not quite so good. I don't have the green screen, and I struggle a little bit with audio in the first couple, but it's not terrible. There's certainly worse audio videos out there about Harry Potter and things like that. There's definitely some terrible audio out there. I know mine's not been the best, but I'm getting better. Hopefully this one sounds okay enough for you. So make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. You know all the drill. Excuse me. Just had a carbonated drink of my cannabis. If you are new here for the first time, I do have a seizure disorder, and so I use cannabis in order to take care of those seizures, to help through them. Found some drinks that help with a little bit more longevity. Don't have to smoke quite so much, so hopefully that will allow me to get through the whole chapter. Maybe we can do this in one day like we did last chapters, instead of it taking months. But let's not let it take any longer. Let's get on to it. Chapter... whatever. Too late to change camera settings now. Or already started, and I'm not starting over. So here we go. Chapter 14 of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. Norbert, the Norwegian Ridgeback. Quirrell, must have been braver than they'd thought. Yeah, right. Quirrell is... I would not generally count Quirrell as brave. Well, maybe. I mean, considering what he does, he's maybe actually got to be pretty brave to take Voldemort onto the back of his head and try to do all this stuff and try to get past Dumbledore, to put one over on Dumbledore. That's actually got to take some bravery. In the weeks that followed, he did seem to be getting paler and thinner. Oof. But it didn't look as though he'd cracked yet. So Snape hadn't gotten to him, as far as the trio are assuming. Every time they passed the third floor corridor, Harry, Ron, and Hermione would press their ears to the door to check. Forgive me. I want to read puts their ear to the crack of the door or something like that, but those words aren't there. So they would press their ears to the door to check that Fluffy was still growling inside. So, is this whole time Fluffy's generally awake? Or do they have music in there for him? I don't think so. So you got this massive dog in this, well, actually a fairly large room, but not asleep. Snape was sweeping about in his usual bad temper. Yep, 'cause that's what he is. Which surely meant the stone was still safe. No, it's unrelated. He's... Oh, gosh. Well, there we have... the seizures. Yay, not even 5.5 minutes in. Okay, we're gonna keep going. Whenever Harry passed Quirrell these days, he gave him an encouraging sort of smile. Oh my. And Ron had started telling people off for laughing at Quirrell's stutter. You're defending Voldemort, guys. You don't realize it. You're defending the bad guy. Of course, Ron has a bad guy with him quite often. Damn scabbers. Hermione, however, had more on her mind than the Sorcerer's Stone. Ah. Wait. Apparently this isn't Philosopher's Stone. This is Sorcerer's Stone that I'm reading. Because it says Sorcerer's Stone instead of saying Philosopher's Stone. Wait. Or is it supposed to be... Yeah, it's supposed to be the Philosopher's Stone. The British version is Philosopher. I should have remembered that. I did a whole spiel on it last chapter. Shame on me for that. She had started drawing up study schedules and color coding all her notes. I understand color coding your notes. In college, I did that in math. I would do each step of a question in a problem in a different color so I could keep it all separated. In college, it didn't matter. They didn't require the use of a pencil, so I could use colored gel pens. And I did so much better at actually writing out all the steps, rather than just doing it all in my head. Yeah. It's too smart for most of the math classes, but not pre-calc. Anyways, Harry and Ron wouldn't have minded. They wouldn't have minded Hermione making up study schedules for them. But she kept nagging them to do the same. Yeah, she was telling them to make study schedules for themselves. But no. Hermione, the exams are ages away. Don't know who actually says that. It could be Ron or it could be Harry. Not actually sure. 10 weeks, Hermione snapped. That's not ages. That's like a second to Nicholas Flamel. But 10 weeks. That's 2.5 months. That's almost an entire quarter. Seriously gonna devote half of the semester to studying? That's sheesh. My glasses are slipping on my nose. And when my nose gets wet, the pince-nez slip. Oh, sorry, this is totally obnoxious right now. But you're going to have to deal with it, and it's going to be what it is. I'm sorry. Please push through. But we're not 600 years old, Ron reminded her. Yeah, like she needed reminding of that. Anyway, what are you studying for? You know it all already. Exactly. Like, Hermione is already the best student. And does she really think that everybody else is going to be working as hard as she is? And obviously her two best friends aren't. What's she talking to Lavender and Padma about, right? It's Padma it's Pavarti that's in Gryffindor. well, whichever one of the Patil twins is actually in Gryffindor, while the other one's in Ravenclaw. Whichever one is sharing a dorm room with Hermione and Lavender Brown, and I don't, not sure who else. I can never remember who else, but we're gonna find out who else is also in Hermione's dorm room. Might need to go back to the Sorting Hat to double check that, but yeah. Nobody else studies as hard as Hermione does. How does she think everybody else is going to pass? And yet everybody does, including Crabbe and Goyle. That one's a tough one to figure out how they're passing. Snape's got to be cheating in some way. What am I studying for? Are you crazy? You realize we need to pass these exams to get into the second year. Yeah, and how do you think Crabbe and Goyle and everybody else is going to actually do? You think anybody is studying as hard as you? And are they going to? Probably. Everybody. I don't think we get anybody who misses, who ends up failing a year. Except maybe Marcus Flint, I believe it is. Captain of the Quidditch, of the Slytherin Quidditch team in his 5th year this year, in their 1st year. And then we apparently get him much later, 3rd year at least, where he should be, well, that would have put him at 7th year if he was 5th year, 1st year, but maybe he was 6th year, and I don't know. But something the Carlin brothers said about Marcus Flint having an extra year of school. I don't know. They're very important. I should have started studying a month ago. A month ago? It's already 2.5 months to go. Well, I just said you're already taking up almost an entire quarter to studying for the exams. Now you think you should have done the entire quarter? Like, that was just solid studying? Is that what you're supposed to do in school? I didn't do that. That's for sure. I did not study that much. Well, I guess my grades showed it. I thought my English teacher would be impressed that I'm doing this now. And my French teacher would be impressed that I'm on camera. I'm not going to go into those stories. Wait, let's stick to the Potter. Don't know what's gotten into me. Unfortunately, the teachers seem to be thinking along the same lines as Hermione, starting to study this early. They piled so much homework on them. Is the homework the same as studying for the exams? I don't know. That the Easter holidays, talking Easter, and the exams aren't until June. This is like March, April, and you got till June. Yeah. They weren't nearly as much fun as the Christmas ones. Yeah, because everybody was still at school, or at least most. I think there's actually some that do go home for the Easter holiday. Yeah, and I do believe they do get a full week for Easter. But why don't more students go home during that week? We don't ever get mentioned. And I think Malfoy might go home. And then we get the Weasley twins not interrupting the Easter holiday with chaos against Umbridge. Looking forward to that someday. Some year. It was hard to relax with Hermione next to you reciting the 12 uses of dragon's blood. Oh man, what are they? What are the 12 uses of dragon's blood? We don't really get to find out. Dumbledore worked on them, and yeah, since this is after Flamel, there is the 12 uses of dragon's blood part of first year curriculum, or is she just doing this because of their knowledge of Flamel and thinking that it might actually help with that? I don't know. Because dragon's blood uses seems like that should be either a later year subject, or if it was earlier in the year, why didn't the name Nicholas Flamel come up within the study of the 12 uses of dragon's blood? If Dumbledore is right, Dumbledore just discovered the 12 uses of dragon's blood on his own, and then works on alchemy with his partner Nicholas Flamel, or is it or did Nicholas Flamel have help Dumbledore with the 12 uses? There's a good question. Something to have to double check later. Genus. Sorry. And practicing wand movements. That's the other thing Hermione is doing. 12 uses of dragon's blood and practicing wand movements. Swish and flick. Moaning and yawning, Harry and Ron spent most of their free time in the library with her, trying to get through all their extra work. "I'll never remember this," Ron burst out one afternoon, throwing down his quill and looking longingly out the library window. It was the first really fine day they'd had in months. The sky was a clear, forget-me-not blue, and there was a feeling in the air of summer coming. Just around Easter, summer's starting to arrive. Harry, who was looking up Dittany, that we get much, much later. One of those healing potions, or healing, healing things. Have to check what exactly that is. It's essence of Dittany, I believe, is what they used, what they call it. The actual potion bottle of Dittany later, after Ron gets splinched with Yaxley attached. But that's book 7, and halfway through book 7. Very long ways to go. Sky was clear, forget-me-not blue, summer is coming. Harry's looking up Dittany in 1,000 magical herbs and fungi, and didn't look up until he heard Ron say, "Hagrid, what are you doing in here, in the library?" "Ah, good old Hagrid." Hagrid shuffled into view. He wasn't in view before? How did Ron know Hagrid was there if he wasn't in view? Hiding something behind his back. So he moves into view while taking something out of view. He looked very out of place in his moleskin overcoat. So, as summer is approaching, on the first very fine day, first real fine day of the year, it's nice summery, and he's got his moleskin overcoat, which is not lightweight. It's definitely a winter coat. "Just looking," he said in a shifty voice that got their interest at once. "And what are you lot up ter?" He looked suddenly suspicious. Shifty eyes. "You're not still looking for Nicholas Flamel, are ya?" Thanks for reminding him. And to maybe let others around hear it. "Oh, We found out who he is ages ago, Ron said impressively. And we know what that dog's guarding. It's the sorceress. Interrupting. Oh, Ron. Shh. Hagrid looked around quickly to see if anyone was listening. Don't go shouting about it. What's the matter with you? Yeah. Because I guess Ron, speaking impressively, is shouting about it. There are a few things we wanted to ask you, as a matter of fact, said Harry. About what's guarding the stone, apart from Fluffy. This just blurred everything out. Oh. Sorry. Excuse me for that. Ouch. Shh, said Hagrid again. Listen. Come and see me later. I'm not promising I'll tell you anything, mind, but don't go rabbiting about it. That's a rabbiting is a term for blabbing or just talking incessantly about it. How did that terminology come up? There's something that is an etymology of term I'll need to look up later for sure. Students aren't supposed to know. They'll think I've told you. Well, you kinda did. You at least sent them on the right path to it. And technically, since Harry was with Hagrid when Hagrid picked up the stone from Gringotts, Harry has the right to be curious and maybe even the right to know. And I think Dumbledore would be okay with it, ahead of time, not just after the fact, but would have been okay letting Harry know if Harry had have gone up to Dumbledore and asked. Do you think? See you later, then, said Harry. Hagrid shuffled off. What was he hiding behind his back? Said Hermione thoughtfully. Do you think it had anything to do with the stone? And not telling us who's saying that, but it's implied that it's Harry because previous line was Hermione and the next one is going to be Ron. I'm going to see what section he was in, said Ron, who'd had enough of working. Ron is brain farted out, is brain dead. Ow. It's been so long since I've been in school, I don't remember what the terminology is for when you're finally had enough studying. Yes, I got to that point quite a bit when I was much, much younger. Yeesh, more than half a lifetime ago. Yeesh. Ron came back a minute later with a pile of books in his arms. A pile of books. And he slammed them down on the table. So these are books that Hagrid didn't grab. How did Ron know what Hagrid had grabbed? Did Hagrid not put them back on the shelves where they're supposed to be? Did he take them off the shelf, look at them, decide it wasn't the one he wanted, and put it into the cart to get for Madame Pince to put them back later in the proper order? Or what? Or is Ron just guessing based on what aisle the subject that is in the aisle that Hagrid was in? Maybe that's what it is, but I think Hagrid left some books out. But why did he leave these books out? is the question. Why weren't these ones good enough for him to check out? Dragons, he whispered. There's potentially too many people around for me to yell dragons, so I won't yell, "Dragon!" He whispered. Ron whispered. Hagrid was looking up stuff about dragons. Look at these. Dragon species of Great Britain and Ireland. From Egg to Inferno, a Dragon Keeper's Guide. Oh, ow. Gosh, I thought I would have been not seizing this. Apparently the drink hasn't kicked in yet. Can take a bit longer than I would like. Or maybe I just didn't sleep enough last night, which is quite likely. Hagrid's always wanted a dragon. He told me so the first time I ever met him. Yep. Not the second time that Harry met Hagrid, but the first time. But it's against our laws, said Ron. Dragon breeding was outlawed by the Warlocks Convention of 1709. Everyone knows that. So, why did Hagrid leave From Egg to Inferno? If he's about to hatch an egg, that seems like the most important book to have, to take with him. Unless there's potentially multiple copies of the books. Which is likely because, and we at least know for sure that a Hogwarts of History has multiple copies. So maybe the dragon, From Egg to Inferno, a Dragon Keeper's Guide, is one of those multiple copy books. But then why, if it's if dragons are outlawed and he's just breeding them and potentially possessing them is outlawed, why are there multiple copies of a book on dragons still in the library and not in the restricted section? Oh, I forgot to mention background this side. Norbert, the Norwegian Ridgeback, made by AI, perchance, as you probably assumed it was AI. Yeah, this definitely has that look about it. Was really hoping to get through this in one go, but So, dragon breeding was outlawed by the Warlocks Convention of 1709. Wow. That's quite a bit of time prior. And what was it that led to that? I need to research a lot of the witch trials of the 1600s and 1700s. That's something okay. There we go. Now, I think we're at least okay for a little bit. Breaks loose. Right. So, the Warlocks Convention of 1709. That is definitely something I would like to know more about. It's hard to stop muggles from noticing us if we're keeping dragons in the back garden. Yeah, because dragons don't like to be chained up. No. That's something I should put in my Concerning Dragons book. Yes, I'm going to write a book called Concerning Dragons, as part of a much bigger series. I need to start a YouTube channel for that, actually. I should do that. Oh boy, I'm getting to be and end up doing too much. Anyway, you can't tame dragons. It's dangerous. You should see the burns Charlie's got off wild ones in Romania. And how? That's a good curiosity. Is how bad is Charlie burned? There aren't wild dragons in Britain, said Harry. Of course there are. There are wild dragons out in the wild. Nope, we're still seizing. Ouch. Keep push through the seizure as long as possible. Of course there are, said Ron. Common Welsh green and Herbidian blacks. What? Now why are we getting a Norwegian? I apologize to everyone from Norway and surrounding for not being able to say Norwegian very well. We're struggling with that. I mean, I lived in Wisconsin. I used to live in Wisconsin, where there's a lot of Norwegian people. It's Norwegian ancestry and Norwegian names of places and things. And yet, very Americanized Norwegian names, but still. And a lot of French too, actually. Quite a lot of French. I guess it's, I don't know, Frankenized? I don't know how it, Frenchanized, Frankelinized. Don't know. Anyways, the Ministry of Magic has a job hushing them up, I can tell you. Ministry of... Is this... No, what other points do we get mention of Ministry of Magic? That I need to double check is... When is the first mention of the Ministry for Magic? Or the Ministry of Magic? I think I have... Yeah, we have had mention of that before, because I had my MOM rant. That Ministry of Magic is mom. So, and all the jokes therein. So, mom has a job hushing them up, I can tell you. Our kind have to keep putting spells on muggles who've spotted them to make them forget. Oh my. Oh. Yeah. It's all that carbonation from the drink. The heat. I want the packets, not the cans, so I can avoid the carbonation. Though I suppose I could just shake up the can after I open it and let all the carbonation leave, but yeah. So we have to make the muggles forget when they have spotted a dragon. That is unfortunate, because that is something I would like to remember. If I ever saw a dragon, I would like to remember it as long as I survived it. And the people around me survived it. That might not happen. So what on earth's Hagrid up to? Said Hermione. Yes, that is the question, indeed. What is Hagrid up to with books on dragons, if they are not allowed? When they knocked on the door of the gamekeeper's hut an hour later, Hagrid doesn't say when to come by, does he? No, he didn't. He just said to come by later, and I'm not promising you anything. But here we go. When they knocked on the gamekeeper's hut an hour later, they were surprised to see all the curtains were closed. Hagrid called, "Who is it?" before he let them in, and then shut the door quickly behind them. It was stifling hot. Even though it was such a warm day, there was a blazing fire in the grate. Hagrid made them tea and offered them stoat sandwiches. That was what I needed to do to get the picture of the stoat up in the corner here. Let me... well, I highly recommend looking up a stoat. Ow! Oh! It is a type of ferret. So a stoat sandwich is like a ferret or weasel sandwich. The meat of a cute little fluffy ferret type critter. And it's... okay, we're gonna take a seizure break, and I'm gonna pull up the picture of the stoat while I do that. So be back in a momentarily. Hello, and we're welcome back. Yeah, it is not the same day. It wasn't just a few minutes, or not the next day. It's 2 days later, and we're gonna try to get back onto it 2 days later. And as I promised, the stoat. That is a stoat. Ain't that thing cute? Cute little ferret type thing. And that is what Hagrid was feeding the kids. Which they promptly refused. Or which they refused to eat. And I don't blame them. So, you wanted to ask me something? Yes, they did. Yes, said Harry. There was no point beating around the bush. We were wondering if you could tell us what's guarding the stone, the Sorcerer's Stone, apart from Fluffy. Yes. Like kids should be knowing this. No. Really. Hagrid frowned at him. Yeah. Of course I can't, he said. Number 1, I don't know myself. Number 2, you know too much already. Yeah, so I wouldn't tell you even if I could. Yeah. They definitely already know more than they should about this secret thing that Dumbledore is trying to keep safe. And if they didn't do anything, if Harry didn't go down and investigate, Quirrell would not have been able to get the stone. Quirrell and Voldemort got closer to the stone because Harry is there. But that's a little bit later. That's a couple more chapters to go yet. We'll get to that soon, hopefully soon. The stone's here for a good reason. It was almost stolen out of Gringotts. Yeah. As Dumbledore knew it was going to be stolen, and so he planned to go back in time to take it out of Gringotts before it actually gets stolen. So he waits and waits. He sits around, and then he sees in the newspaper that a vault in Gringotts was broken into, but nothing was stolen, because the vault had been emptied earlier that day. And then he gives Hagrid, or then he uses his own time turner, goes back, tells Hagrid to pick up the Philosopher's Stone with Harry in Diagon Alley before Quirrell can get it, before somebody can attempt to steal it, before it's been stolen. You understand how that works? Dumbledore had to go back in time, after the fact to before the fact, but he had to plan well before in order to go back to a point in time before it got stolen, but after he planned to go back in time. Got it? Good. Okay. Oh, come on, Hagrid. You might not want to tell us, but you do know. You know everything that goes on around here," said Hermione in a warm, flattering voice. "Yes, indeed. You gotta butter him up. Butter up Hagrid to get him to confidently spill the beans, because he's good at spilling the beans." "Shouldn't have said that. I should not have said that." Hagrid's beard twitched, and they could tell he was smiling. "We only wondered who had done the guarding, really," Hermione went on. "We wondered who Dumbledore had trusted enough to help him, apart from you. So who are Dumbledore's most loyal people? Which is a good question to know, of who in the school Dumbledore trusts the most. Although, as we're about to see, there's at least one person that he should not have trusted, if not two. I guess really only one, but kind of two, but not really, but kind of, but not, but no, but yes, but no, but yes. Right? We all know who we're talking about. Hagrid's chest swelled at these last words, because he says, "Apart from you, who we know Dumbledore trusts with his life." "I would trust Hagrid with my life." "Not saying his heart's not in the right place, but you can't say he's not careless." Something like that. "Well," ooh, sorry, don't want to throw Hagrid back into the southern accent. "Well," I need to get Neville's toad back in my throat. "Well, I don't suppose it could hurt to tell you that. Let's see. He borrowed Fluffy from me. Then some of the teachers did enchantments. Professor Sprout, the Devil's Snare, Professor Flitwick. The keys? Must be the keys. Right? Or... Yeah, it's gotta be the keys. Flitwick is... Huh. It just seems odd that Flitwick would be writing his stuff would be broomsticks to get keys. And maybe that's a bit presumptive of me, prejudice of me, based on him being a tiny little wizard. But as the book describes him, that's I can't think of anything, I mean, other than enchanting the keys. That could be something that Flitwick could have done. Okay, he just enchanted the keys to be able to fly around, though that seems more like a transfiguration thing also, and just in general being a Madame Hooch thing. But Hooch is not one of those trusted people, because despite having the eagle eyes or eyes of a hawk, something like that, she misses a lot of stuff that goes on in the games. Like, the entire time that Harry is getting flung around on his broom, she's totally unaware. And then Professor McGonagall, who's the chessboard, obviously, he ticked them off his fingers. Professor Quirrell, there's the one he definitely shouldn't have trusted, and he had the troll. He's got a troll coming up. And Dumbledore himself did something, of course, and that would be the mirror, of course. Oh yeah, professors. Oh, I forgot some. Wait, what did I miss? Hang on, I've forgotten someone. No. Oh yeah, conveniently forgot. Oh yeah, Professor Snape. How do you just conveniently forget Snape on this? You know the kids are after Snape or questioning Snape, and then you conveniently leave him to the end for dramatic effect, and can conveniently almost forget him for dramatic effect for the story, I guess, for the reader to be like, wait, what? Snape? As an afterthought, we get that. No, Hagrid should have thought about Snape immediately. And before Professor Sprout. I mean, unless we're going in order here, let's see. Obviously, Sprout's first with the Devil's Snare. Was Flitwick is the keys or the chessboards? No, the keys have to be before the chessboard because Ron doesn't go past the chessboard. Question is if the troll is between the Devil's Snare and the keys, or if it's between the chessboard and the potions. The potions riddle. I don't remember off the top of my head. We will get to it in a couple more chapters. We will find out. We will confirm that. But it is not quite yet. Let's see. Wait, where did I miss? Okay, yeah. And then of course Dumbledore's the last one. But then Snape is next to last. Snape? Yeah, you're not still on about that, are ya? Look, Snape helped protect the stone. He's not about to steal it. And yet, Quirrell is also supposedly protecting the stone with the troll. And he is trying to steal it. So there's Hagrid, you're wrong, and Dumbledore is wrong. And somehow, how Dumbledore isn't seeing Quirrell or isn't taking action against Quirrell. I mean, I guess later in Snape's memory, in the second one, the pensieve again, it's Dumbledore tells Snape to keep an eye on Quirrell. But we don't get much more to that, if I remember correctly. There's just... there's not enough. Dumbledore really should have taken better precautions with Quirrell. I mean, as bad as hiring Lockhart is going to be, Quirrell at this point is even worse. And how does Dumbledore, with his magic glasses that we know are at least able to tell where somebody under the invisibility cloak is, if not who they are, don't know how much he can actually see of the person under the invisibility cloak. We know Moody can. Moody's eye can. Can Dumbledore's glasses? Don't know, but Dumbledore definitely has the ability, can recognize where the cloak is, at least. And can maybe Legilimens that it was Harry and Ron under the cloak looking for the spiders. when Hagrid gets arrested. Next book. Next book? Yes, next book. Yeah. Harry knew Ron and Hermione were thinking the same as he was. If Snape had been in on protecting the stone, it must have been easy to find out how the other teachers had guarded it. And yet Hagrid doesn't, apparently, supposedly, says at least, he doesn't know how the other teachers are protecting it, just who is doing it, but not how. So, but, I mean, maybe, I don't know. He probably knew everything except, it seemed, Quirrell's spell. Spell? Okay, you would think defense against the dark arts. You'd think it would be some sort of dark magic defense spell. Which would mean that Dumbledore would have used or created some sort of dark magic, or Quirrell created the dark magic. Actually, that would be the thing. Quirrell created the bad thing. Theoretically. I mean, of course, we know he did the troll instead of something magical. Yeah. Would have made much more sense. But, and if we knew it was a troll, then we would be able to pull back the reference to the troll being let in. And if we know of a troll prior. So, anyways, let's continue. Let's get back into some bit more energy. I know I'm kind of dragging here right now. Apologies. You're the only one who knows how to get past Fluffy, aren't you, Hagrid? Said Harry anxiously. And you wouldn't tell anyone, would you? Not even one of the teachers? Not a soul knows. Except me and Dumbledore, said Hagrid proudly. Ew. No, somebody else knows. Whoever gave you this guy, this lady, knows. And, well, that's Quirrell. Spoilers! Yeah, and again, my hook on Harry Potter was the spoiler of Quirrell. And the chess match. Between the chess match and the spoiler of Quirrell being the bad guy, I got hooked. And now, here we are, 23 years later. Could I finish? When did we're getting close to the release date, the theatrical release date. I think it was November or something. I just looked that up. But I wonder if can I finish this by then? I don't know. At least not the commentated. Well, that's something. Hagrid, can we have a window open? I'm boiling. You're boiling. What's in the kettle is boiling. Can't, Harry. Sorry, said Hagrid. Harry noticed him glance at the fire. Harry looked at it too. Hagrid, what's that? But he already knew what it was, because they saw what Hagrid was studying in the library, saw what he looked up. In the very heart of the fire, underneath the kettle, was a huge black egg. So it's actually on the wood, not in the kettle. I think in the movie, he reaches into the kettle to pull out the egg, rather than just pulling it off the fire from underneath the kettle. But that's something to take note of. Said Hagrid, fiddling nervously with his beard. That's, where did you get it, Hagrid? Said Ron, crouching over the fire to get a closer look at the egg. It must have, excuse me. It must have cost you a fortune." "Won it," said Hagrid. "Last night." Yep. Which is why he immediately went to go into the library to look up books on dragons. "I was down in the village, having a few drinks." As Hagrid does. As Hagrid drinks a lot. Hagrid drinks more than I do. And it has actually been a fair bit. A couple days? Well, excluding Friday with his wine tasting. But it's been like a week, 2 weeks without alcohol. And it's going to be a bit more. Because money. Gotta save money, and alcohol gets expensive very, very quickly. And it was having a few drinks and got into a game of cards with a stranger. Like Hagrid does. Think he was quite glad to get rid of it, to be honest. Yeah, somebody would definitely, considering they're illegal, he would definitely want to get rid of it, and he also wants to get the information. He's eager to give it to you so that you will give him whatever he needs. You were manipulated, Hagrid. Manipulated by the Voldemort, by the bad guy. But what are you going to do with it when... Oh, here we go. Okay. Still got to get through Charlie, don't we? But what are you going to do with it when it's hatched? Said Hermione. Well, I've been doing some reading, said Hagrid, pulling a large book from under his pillow. He's hiding this book under his pillow. Okay. And only one of them. He only took one book. Got this out of the library. Dragon breeding for pleasure and profit. That's the one you chose. For pleasure and profit. Not From Egg to Inferno, a Dragon Keeper's Guide. That definitely would have been a more logical book to have, I would think. Although, maybe, Haggard, Swaggered, that's it, Swaggered. Because Hagrid is supposedly very, very rich, and apparently is kind of obsessed with money, although it's living a comfortable, poor lifestyle, or a modest lifestyle, but he's rolling in dough and gold and galleons. And this is proof, another point of proof that Hagrid is in it for the money. Dragon breeding for pleasure and profit. It's a bit out of date, of course, because dragon breeding has been outlawed since 1709, and it's now 1991. Are we still in 91? Or be 92? I think we're actually 92 now. Yes, it's spring of 92 in our book. That's something I need to add to my new website that I'm putting together, hp.williamsrdan.com, to get more about my Harry Potter write-ups, analysis, starting back at chapter 1. So it'll be a while before we get up to where we are now. Working on that with Bibliobabuli and our new podcast, Literary Luminaries. Literary Luminaries. That's what we're going to be. Literary luminaries. It's a bit out of date, of course, but it's all in here. Keep the egg in the fire. Yep, because their mothers breathe on them, see? And the shell of these got to be pretty darn strong, then. If it can withstand fire, dragon fire. And that's why Daenerys' eggs looked the way they did. Great dragon eggs in Game of Thrones. And when it hatches, feed it on a bucket of brandy mixed with chicken blood every half hour. A bucket of brandy and chicken blood. That's a lot. Is that how a dragon gets its fire? Is by ingesting all that brandy? There you go. There's the answer to how a dragon's fire comes to be. It's brandy. It's the evaporating alcohol from the brandy that they've ingested. A barrel every half hour. That's more than Harry gets of ice cream. I mean, Harry gets a free sundae every half hour. This is a bucket of brandy and chicken blood. How much did that gonna cost, and who's gonna notice that, Hagrid? Or you doing Gimino spell to duplicate, to multiply the brandy and chicken blood? Because Hermione says you can, that Gamp's Law does allow you to multiply food, to increase the quantity of it, as long as it already exists. So maybe it works here. Maybe that's what Hagrid's doing, is he's using magic with his wand, with his umbrella. And see here, how to recognize different eggs. What I got, there's a Norwegian Ridgeback. They're rare, them, because nobody can say it. And how are you getting, how did Quirrell get a Norwegian Ridgeback here? From Norway to England, to Scotland, the moors of Scotland. Or is it moors? I don't know. I don't know what a moor actually is. Should actually look that up. Isn't it? It's probably a waterway, more watery than, well, we do have a big lake. But the lochs, the Scotland lochs, Scottish lochs, where the Black Lake is. How Quirrell, how did you get this egg there? He looked very pleased with himself, Hagrid did. But Hermione didn't. Hagrid, you live in a wooden house, she said. Dragons breathe fire. So a wood house is not the best place. But Hagrid wasn't listening. He was humming merrily as he stoked the fire. So now they had something else to worry about. What might happen to Hagrid if anyone found out he was hiding an illegal dragon in his hut? Wonder what it's like to have a peaceful life, Ron sighed. As evening after evening, they struggled through all the extra homework they were getting. All because they're getting up to exams. That's 2 months to go. Or was it 2.5? Yeah, 2.5 months. So now we got 2 months to go. Hermione had now started making study schedules for Harry and Ron too, not just for herself. It was driving them nuts. Yeah. Then, one breakfast time, Hedwig brought Harry another note from Hagrid. He had written only 2 words. It's hatching. Ron wanted to skip herbology and go straight down to the hut. 'Cause how long is it going to take for the dragon to hatch? Hermione wouldn't hear of it. Oh. Hermione, how many times in our lives are we going to see a dragon hatching? Yeah, seriously. Probably not ever again. We've got lessons, and we'll get into trouble, and that's nothing to what Hagrid's going to be in when somebody finds out what he's doing. Oh, wait. I forgot. They are... Let's see. So, what have we got? We are at breakfast. Yeah, we're at breakfast time. So they're in the Great Hall, and they get the note. How did Hagrid get Hedwig to be able to send Harry the note? So he goes up to the owlry, calls down Hedwig, and says, "Here, take this to Harry in the Great Hall for breakfast, when I'm also going to be most likely in the Great Hall for breakfast." I should say, when I'm also gonna be in the Great Hall for breakfast. Come on, Hedwig, take this note to Harry for me. Even though I could do it myself, I would like you to do it. Well, no, I guess he's gonna be staying down in his hut to watch, instead of going up to the castle for breakfast. He'll make his own breakfast, so. But still, he still had to go up. He still had to fetch Hedwig. Or did he, like, call out from his hut, "Hedwig! Hedwig! I got a note for you. Got a job for you, Hedwig." Right. So, okay, Hagrid. So then they're in the Great Hall, is where we are at. We've got lessons, notes, and Ron, I'm guessing, says, yeah, it's got to be Ron, even though we're not specifically told at this point. Or in this quote. And Ron says the words, "dragon." Oops. And Harry, "Shut up!" Harry whispered. Malfoy was only a few feet away, and he had stopped dead to listen. So Malfoy was walking past in the Great Hall? Or, I guess so. How much had he heard? Enough. Harry didn't like the look on Malfoy's face at all. Nope. Darn, we're gonna have to take another seizure break, and I don't... Oh. We'll see how the rest of... if we get back today. Okay, we're back. It has been... Well, it's been winter. The previous clips of this were in October. This is now May. Sorry. It has been crazy winter and distracted and not in places where I can actually sit and talk aloud without being crammed in with too many other people around me. And the walls of my RV are very thin, and I self-conscious and don't really want people overhearing me just reading Harry Potter or talking. Um, so I am now up the coast, back up the coast, where I've done other readings successfully. So sorry for the itchiness. So hopefully we will be able to finish this and then do the last 3 chapters of the book. Hopefully, I keep saying that and it just doesn't happen. But its health has been rough. My medical issues are not going well at all. But so let's get back into this. Maybe a bit out of practice, but we're going to try to be in the same frame of mind and be able to be as in depth of discussions and as sarcastic as I have been in the past. So let's get back to it. Hopefully, and hopefully we'll finish it. Darn, my glasses slipping. Oh yeah. That's the problem. But okay, here we go. We're see, we last left off with Malfoy overhearing about the dragon. So Ron and Hermione argued all the way to herbology, from the Great Hall to herbology, and in the end, Hermione agreed to run down to Hagrid's with the other two during morning break. They're wanting to skip herbology class to go watch the dragon. So they're going to delay an hour at least, unless it's a double period, so maybe 2 hours. That's why Ron's mad and frustrated, and Hermione's like, "No, we can't skip class." But in the end, Hermione agreed to run down with him. Oh my goodness. Sorry. It's just a sweaty nose. It's weird. Yeah. To run down with the other two during morning break. When the bell sounded from the castle at the end of their lesson, the three of them dropped their trowels. So, come back. When the bell sounded, Hogwarts has bells to indicate the end of class, just like we did in my high school in Wisconsin. Had what was that chime? I don't remember the tune now. There was a kind of a slight tune to like the 3 to 5 notes of a bell, um, to indicate the beginning and end of classes, and the warning bell for lunch and stuff like that, and the start of the school day. Anyways, but Hogwarts they ring the bell every when classes start and end, or at least when they end. I don't know. I don't remember if there's beginning of lesson bell mentioned. I have to investigate that further. Okay, so they dropped their trowels and then hurried through the grounds to the edge of the forest. Hagrid greeted them, looking flushed and excited. They don't get the knock on the door this time, and who is it? And it's us. No, he knows they're coming. So he's probably gazing out the window, watching for him, and he sees him running down the hill, and then gets up to go let him in, meet them at the door. But he's got all his curtains closed, so I don't know. Maybe he had one open, just so we could watch. Or maybe he heard them running down or calling or something. But we don't find out this time. The egg... Okay. It's nearly out. He ushered them inside. The egg was lying on the table. There were deep cracks in it, so the egg is still not hatched. Hagrid said, sends them a note, sends them an owl. He goes and he fetches an owl, sends it up to him to say it's hatching at breakfast. And then a couple hours later, at least an hour and a half later, it's still not hatched. That's a slow dragon getting out. And granted, I mean, its dragon eggs are very thick. And I don't even know how long it takes a chicken to hatch. I don't know. I am not a farmer. We had goats, but those goats do not lay eggs. And none of the goats gave birth. We don't need that story. No, I did not practice any inappropriate charms on those goats. No, I am not Aberforth. Never like Aberforth. Nope. So I would minded casting a few, maybe Imperio on the goats, just to get them back in the pen. 96. Summer of 96, we had goats on a camp. The egg was lying on the table. There were deep cracks in it, and something was moving inside. A funny clicking noise was coming from it. Still, this slowly, taking this long. They all drew their chairs up to the table and watched with bated breaths, like a cartoonist. Draw in the chair. I only got 2 legs on that chair, but all at once, after an hour and a half at least, maybe 2 hours, maybe more, all at once, there was a scraping noise and the egg split open. Good timing. Very good timing on that. It was almost plot convenient, wouldn't you say? The baby dragon flopped onto the table. It wasn't exactly pretty. It's a horrible thing to say to a girl. Spoilers! Harry thought it looked like a crumpled black umbrella. Oops, this way. Yep. So should Norbert be oh shoot, I just had it. I didn't call her in How to Train Your Dragon. Was it Sharp Tooth? Toothless. Toothless, yes. Ah, yes. Headcanon, Norberta is toothless. Just later. Or maybe Toothless is Norberta's mother. There we go. Toothless is Norberta's mother or great-grandmother or father. I don't know actually what. I don't remember. It's been too long since I've watched How to Train Your Dragon. Such a good movie. And our dragon here kind of looks a bit like Toothless too. Its spiny wings were huge compared to its skinny jet body. It had a long snout with wide nostrils and stubs of horns and bulging orange eyes. Stubs of horns? Is that? Oh, maybe that's. Oops. Maybe those are the horns instead of ears. Maybe that would make sense. Silly AI. It sneezed. A couple of sparks flew out of its snout. That's great. Isn't he beautiful? Hagrid murmured. He reached out a hand to stroke the dragon's head. It snapped. Yeah. It snapped at his fingers, showing pointed fangs. Bless him, look, he knows his mummy, said Hagrid. Hagrid, said Hermione, how fast do Norwegian Ridgebacks grow exactly? Hagrid was about to answer when the color suddenly drained from his face. He leapt to his feet and ran to the window. Boom, 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 as the whole house shakes. What's the matter? Who knows who said that? We don't. I presume Hermione, because she was the last one to speak, but it doesn't. We don't know who actually said what's the matter. Someone was looking through the gap in the curtains. It's a kid. He's running back to the school. So, Malfoy, you're really on it. Really obsessed with Harry on this. You know? Going down to spy on Hagrid, peer through Hagrid's windows. What did you tell Crab and Goyle you were doing, or anybody else, or what did anybody think as you were going down to Hagrid? Why? Because it's still the middle of the morning. This is still the break between first and second lessons. So, apparently they get a good long break between lessons, not the 3 minutes that we had to get from class to class. Or let's see it, second high school, I think we had 5 minutes because it was multiple buildings rather than just one long hallway in Wisconsin. Because Wisconsin, everything is indoors, and K-12. In California, no, just high school with more kids in 4 years than 13 years. Anyways, Harry bolted to the door and looked out. So he opens the door, or is he looking out the curtain on the door? The window of the door. I don't know. Even at a distance, there was no mistaking him. Malfoy had seen the dragon. Dun dun dun! Again, what are all the other Slytherins thinking? Watching Malfoy go down, sneak down to Hagrid's hut. Why do you want to go see Hagrid? Come on, Malfoy. Of course, there is the Super Carlin Brothers theory that Hagrid was a Slytherin. I don't know. I think Hufflepuff makes much more sense. Even though he says there are a lot of duffers. But, nah. I don't know. Maybe, I guess. Yeah. Anyways, go watch that video when you're done with this. Oh, damn. We're not even gonna make it here. Um, I had one of my medicated drinks, so I thought it would be stable enough to get through this. But yeah, and one of the reasons I haven't been doing it is because it requires a lot of energy and a lot of thought, and I have to be stable enough to think without having seizures, and it just doesn't happen. Just haven't felt good enough. I've tried to force it today, but gosh darn, God, nabbit. Okay, we're gonna try to be back. We're gonna smoke some weed and come back. Okay, it's now August 19th. It's been a rough time, so let's just get back into it. Let's just do it. Something, something about the smile lurking on Malfoy's face during the next week made Harry, Ron, and Hermione very nervous. Rightfully so. They spent most of their free time in Hagrid's darkened hut, trying to reason with him. They keep going down day after day in between classes to tell Hagrid, "Hey, get rid of this dragon. Just let him go. Let him go. Let him go. Harry urged. Set him free. Yes, yes. I can't. I can't. Can't. Said Hagrid. He's too little. He'll die. He'd die. They looked at the dragon. It had grown 3 times in length in just a week. 3 times from what? How big was it originally? We don't know how big it was originally, so being 3 times bigger than what? We still don't know how big that is. Could still be really, really small. But no. I think we're pretty aware that it's not. Smoke kept furling out of its nostrils. Ah, she said, it's. Let's take a note of that. The dragon, narratively, the dragon is referred to it. It's only in dialogue that is referred to he. There's something. Well done. Hagrid hadn't been doing his gamekeeping duties because the dragon was keeping him so busy. It's being dragon, or is same as it being nondescript. There were empty brandy bottles and chicken feathers all over the floor. Hagrid's not cleaning up his own hut. Just making a mess. I've decided to call him Norbert, said Hagrid, looking at the dragon with misty eyes. He really knows me now. Watch! Norbert! Norbert! Where's Mummy? He's lost his marbles, Ron muttered in Harry's ear. Hagrid, said Harry loudly, give it 2 weeks and Norbert's going to be as long as your house. So what was that? The first, just 1 week, it had grown 3 times. And so now in 2 more weeks, he says it'll be as long as the house. So would that be 3 times and then another 3 times? So based on the original, so is that actually 27? 27 times its original size? That would make sense. And I imagine Hagrid's hut isn't that huge, so if Norbert was originally like half a foot long, a decimeter long or something. Who uses decimeter? Nobody uses the term decimeter. 10 centimeters. Then that would make sense if it's growing to the size of Hagrid's house in 3 weeks. And Malfoy could go to Dumbledore at any moment. Why would Malfoy go to Dumbledore? Malfoy would go to Snape. And Snape would maybe do something about it. But more likely just tells Malfoy to mind his own business. Or would be on the lookout for the trio. More likely. But Dumbledore, if Draco tells Dumbledore, Dumbledore's like, yes, Draco, I understand. Why are you speaking to me about this? We never speak. We're not generally on speaking terms, Mr. Malfoy. But yeah, Draco would not go to Dumbledore. Hagrid bit his lip and started bleeding. I know, I know, I can't keep him forever, but I can't just dump him. Can't. Yeah. Hagrid has a big heart. Harry suddenly turned to Ron. Charlie, he said. You're losing it too, said Ron. I'm Ron, remember? Yes, Here's another moment where Book Ron is a dimwit. It's always the obvious things he doesn't seem to get. Like that you can't apparate in and out of Hogwarts. Or that Aberforth's Patronus was a goat and not a doe. And Dumbledore's was a phoenix and not a doe. And when you're dead, you probably can't cast a phoenix or a Patronus. Ron's constantly like, there's like the one time that Ron is actually smarter than everybody else. It's coming up in a couple more chapters. So at this rate, hopefully not a couple more years to finish the book, but we're gonna try. I keep saying that, but yeah. Still from October to August. And now. No, Charlie, your brother Charlie, in Romania, studying dragons? We could send Norbert to him. Charlie can take care of him and then put him back in the wild. Brilliant, said Ron. How about it, Hagrid? Yeah. And in the end, Hagrid agreed that they could send an owl to Charlie to ask him. So it was Hagrid. Goodness gracious! This is why it takes forever. I'm sorry. Take another hit. The following week dragged by. Wednesday night found Hermione and Harry sitting alone in the common room, without Ron, long after everyone else, including Ron, had gone to bed. The clock on the wall had just chimed. Wait, no. Not Ron gone to bed yet. The clock on the wall had just chimed midnight, so we have a clock on the wall in the Gryffindor Tower. That is good to know, in the Gryffindor common room. When the portrait hole burst open, Ron appeared out of nowhere as he pulled off Harry's invisibility cloak, which is why he's appearing out of nowhere. He had been down at Hagrid's hut, helping him feed Norbert, who is now eating dead rats by the crate. So at least this time they wisened up, or they started wisening up and not just walking down to Hagrid's hut between classes. They're using the invisibility cloak to stealthily go down to see Hagrid, so Malfoy won't see them going down to Hagrid's. Much smarter. And Norbert eating dead rats by the crate. It bit me, he said, showing them his hand, which was wrapped in a bloody handkerchief. I'm not going to be able to hold a quill for a week. I tell you, that dragon's the most horrible animal I've ever met. But the way Hagrid goes on about it, you'd think it was a fluffy little bunny rabbit. When it bit me, he told me off for frightening it. When I left, he was singing it a lullaby. I'd like to know what that lullaby was. The lullaby to a dragon. Maybe I'll have AI make that song. That'd be a good one to do, if I remember. There was a tap on the dark window. It's Hedwig, said Harry, hurrying to let her in. She'll have Charlie's answer. The three of them put their heads together to read the note. Dear Ron, how are you? Thanks for the letter. I'd be glad to take the Norwegian Ridgeback, but it won't be easy getting him here. I think the best thing will be to send him over with some friends of mine who are coming to visit me next week. Trouble is, they mustn't be seen carrying an illegal dragon. Ow. Now, do they have an invisibility cloak to cover the dragon with as they're uh, traveling with it? Could you get the Ridgeback up the tallest tower at midnight on Saturday? They can meet you there and take him away while it's still dark. Send me an answer as soon as possible. Love, Charlie. Ah, Charlie. It's good to have mention of Charlie. They looked at one another. We've got the invisibility cloak. Just don't forget it, said Harry. It shouldn't be too difficult. I think the cloak's big enough to cover two of us and Norbert. Two of them. It was a mark of how bad the last week had been that the other two agreed with him, because they rarely agree over mischievous things, over having to be stealthy. Anything, but anything to get rid of Norbert and Malfoy. And at this point, probably Snape, because Snape probably knows what's going on, because Draco is more likely told Snape. Ouch. There was a hitch. A hitch, a hitch. A witch, a hitch for a witch. By the next morning, Ron's bitten hand had swollen to twice its usual size. He didn't know whether it was safe to go to Madame Pomfrey. Would she recognize a dragon bite? Probably. But she generally doesn't ask too many questions, as we'll find out in another book. By the afternoon, though, he had no choice. The cut had turned a nasty shade of green. Oh boy, gangrene. It's infected. It looked as if Norbert's fangs were poisonous. At least it wasn't like Dumbledore's shriveled hand. Trying to get through this. It's been too long. Harry and Hermione rushed up to the hospital wing at the end of the day to find Ron in a terrible state in bed. Oh, it's not just my hand, he whispered, although that feels like it's about to fall off. Wonder what else is starting to swell. Malfoy told Madame Pomfrey he wanted to borrow one of my books. So he came, so he could come and have a good laugh at me. He kept threatening to tell her what really bit me. Like he knows for sure. I've told her it was a dog, but I don't think she believes me. Because she knows the difference between a dog bite and a dragon bite. I'm sure Madame Pomfrey has studied dragon bites and the infections from them at some point in her medicinal training. Um, I shouldn't have hit him at the Quidditch match. That's why he's doing this. Oh, but it was so awesome when Ron punched or when Ron and Neville fought against Malfoy, Crabbe, and Goyle. That was a good moment, even if Neville ended up unconscious. But Ron did well punching Malfoy out. Ow. Harry and Hermione tried to calm Ron down. Calm him down. There's something you don't say to anybody. Calm down. It'll all be over at midnight on Saturday. And said Hermione, but this didn't soothe Ron at all. On the contrary, he sat bolt upright and broke into a sweat. Midnight on Saturday, he said in a hoarse voice. Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! I've just remembered. Charlie's letter was in that book Malfoy took. Why did you have it that many days later? Why did you keep it with you? Why did you put it in one of your books? Why was it not just left in the dorm room? And drawer by your bedside. Come on, Ron. Be a little bit smarter than putting important letters with secret information in books where anybody can get them. And what book was it that Malfoy was borrowing? What book did uh, Ron use to put the letter in? And again, why? Um, so Malfoy's going to know when we're getting rid of Norbert. Not just when. It doesn't say when. It's just to know that they are getting rid of him, of it. Harry and Hermione didn't get a chance to answer. Madame Pomfrey came over at that moment and made them leave, saying Ron needed sleep. It's too late to change the plan now, Harry told Hermione. We've got time. We haven't got time to send Charlie another owl, and this could be our only chance to get rid of Norbert. I wonder if you could send an owl to Charlie's friends without, even if you don't know their names, who they actually are specifically. I wonder if Hedwig would be able to figure out. Oh, we'll have to risk it. And we have got the invisibility cloak. Malfoy doesn't know about that yet. They found Fang the boarhound sitting outside with a bandaged tail when they went to tell Hagrid. So poor Fang got bit or burned by Norbert. That is sad. Poor Fang. And Hagrid did just opened a window to talk to them. I won't let you in, he puffed. Norbert's at a tricky stage. Nothing I can't handle. When they told him about Charlie's letter, his eyes filled with tears. Although that might have been because Norbert had just bitten him on the leg. Ah! It's all right. He's only got my boot. Just playing. He's only a baby after all. Yep. The baby banged its tail on the wall, making the windows rattle. Harry and Hermione walked back to the castle, feeling Saturday couldn't come quickly enough. I sneeze. They would have felt sorry for Hagrid when the time came for him to say goodbye to Norbert if they hadn't been so worried about what they had to do. It was a very dark, cloudy night. That's interesting to have that detail. And they were a bit late arriving at Hagrid's hut because they'd wow, because they had, as a contraction, they'd had to wait for Peeves to get out of their way in the entrance hall, where he'd been playing tennis against the wall. Sorry, my reading is getting bad. I'm struggling to not have seizures to try to get through this for once. Before it takes a year. Hagrid had Norbert packed and ready in a large crate. He's got lots of rats and some brandy for the journey. More brandy, more alcohol. Seriously, how much alcohol is Hagrid getting? Is he having it Geminoed, duplicated? What house elf is doing that? Or is Hagrid doing that with his own umbrella wand, which he's not supposed to be using? I bet that's what it is. Said, okay, yeah. So he's got the brandy, rats, and
brandy for the journey," said Hagrid in a muffled voice. "And I've packed his teddy bear in case he gets lonely." From inside the crate came ripping noises, because Norbert knew that that's what Hagrid was talking about. That ripping noises that sounded to Harry as though the teddy was having its head torn off. Haha. Bye bye, Norbert, Hagrid sobbed as Harry and Hermione covered the crate with the invisibility cloak and stepped underneath it themselves. "Mommy will never forget ya." And no, I guess we do get another mention. Does Hagrid ever mention Norbert again? I don't remember. But I don't think he ever does. I don't think so. At least not on page. Um, how they managed to get to the castle, get the crate back up to the castle, they never knew. They never knew. Midnight ticked nearer as they heaved Norbert up the marble staircase. Marble. Wow. Marble staircase in the entrance hall and along the dark corridors. Up another staircase, then another. Even one of Harry's shortcuts didn't make the work much easier. "Nearly there," Harry panted as they reached the corridor beneath the tallest tower. Then a sudden movement ahead of them made them almost drop the crate. Forgetting that they were already invisible, they shrank into the shadows, staring at the dark outlines of two people grappling each other 10 feet away. A lamp flared. 10 feet away. That's not very far. Professor McGonagall in a tartan bathrobe and a hairnet. Now, is the hairnet also tartan? And what color tartan? Is it more green? Because McGonagall's so often in green, despite being in Gryffindor, which is red house. Slytherin is green. But I bet the McGonagall, or what was her maiden? I don't remember McGonagall's maiden name. Well, maybe that where she's her own family's tartan is green, and that's why she's often wearing green. We'll go with that. But McGonagall, in her tartan bathrobe, and a hairnet, had Malfoy by the ear. So was McGonagall off taking a bath somewhere? I mean, if the prefect's bathroom is like that, what's the professor's? Man, that's got to be a pretty darn fancy bathtub. Even better than the prefect's bathtub, which is pretty freaking awesome. So, McGonagall's got Malfoy by the ear. "Detention!" she shouted, "and 20 points from Slytherin. Wandering around in the middle of the night. How dare you?" Only 20 points that Draco loses, not the 50 each. Or was that because they did the scenes totally wrong and got everything all mixed up for this. You know, well, I mean, somewhat. They just combined it all and, yeah. Oh, yeah. You don't understand, Professor. Harry Potter's coming. He's got a dragon. What utter rubbish! How dare you tell such lies? Come on, I shall see Professor Snape about you, Malfoy. The steep spiral staircase up to the top of the tower seemed the easiest thing in the world after that. Not until they'd stepped out into the cold night air did they throw off the cloak. Glad to be able to breathe properly again. So, does it make it difficult to breathe under the cloak? Hermione did a sort of jig, a little dance. Malfoy's got detention. I could sing. Don't, Harry advised her. Yeah. Chuckling about Malfoy, they waited. Norbert thrashing about in his crate. Ah, there we go. There's where she breaks it. J.K. Rowling broke it. Calls Norbert his he there. So okay, that's. I wonder if that was fixed in later versions. I think it definitely should be. That definitely should continue to say it, or it's great, um, instead of his. And I think it would be awkward, and it might stand out too much if that one was its. But I bet I bet J.K. pondered that for a while on what to go with, to keep using it or to use his. And as they waited, Norbert thrashing around in its crate would be really awkward. I mean, if you could say the dragon thrashing around in its crate, that would work. But in this case, grammatically, it's best to use his rather than its. But about 10 minutes later, four broomsticks came swooping down out of the darkness, out of the cloudy darkness. Charlie's friends were a cheery lot. They showed Harry and Hermione the harness they'd rigged up, so they could suspend Norbert between them. That'd be crazy, suspending something between two brooms or four brooms. Yes, yeah. Um, they all helped buckle Norbert safely into it, and then Harry and Hermione shook hands with the others for the first time and thanked them very much. At last, Norbert was gone. They slipped back down the spiral staircase without the invisibility cloak, their hearts as light as their hands, now that Norbert was off them, and so was the invisibility cloak. No more dragon, Malfoy in detention. What could spoil their happiness? But stupidly forgetting the invisibility cloak. How? How? Really? The answer to that, what would spoil their happiness, was at the foot of the stairs. As they stepped into the corridor, Filch, with his face, loomed suddenly out of the darkness. Well, he whispered. We are in trouble. They'd left the invisibility cloak on top of the tower. Ha. There we go. Finally finished the chapter. Oh, we made it. We made it. I am sorry it took 10 months to do this chapter. Hopefully my health I can find some way to improve my health, better way to medicate more stably and not be having so many problems through this. It's the problem of thinking. Thinking too hard triggers the seizures, And so, of course, what I'm doing is trying to think, and thinking through the book, the details of the book, the nuances, and pulling it apart. That requires a lot of thought, which makes too many electrical signals going through my brain and ends up sending me into seizures, convulsions, and the nerves go crazy. And it's very, very painful and frustrating. That's why it's taken so long to even feel this stable to get this done. Though I have been doing some other things. I've been doing some reaction videos on WRD Reacts on the Reaction channel. So look that up. I got America's Got Talent and Britain's Got Talent going right now. I got 3 episodes of Lower Decks season 5, Star Trek Lower Decks, and everything else is up on my Patreon. Um, don't know if that was a fly in the back of my head or just my ponytail and the green screen. Um, anyways, lots on the Patreon on my website, uh, so you can join all of these things, all of them. Look up any of these icons with William Zardan at Gmail if needed. Well, there you go. Yeah, I know where I want to read the forest because the forest is the chapter that's next, right? We got detention is our next chapter. Yeah, the Forbidden Forest. I know where I want to read it. It's just up the coast a little ways, a mile drive and about a mile walk. So that'll be fun. But it's a nice forested type area, so highly appropriate. And then hopefully be able to do the commentated reading for that chapter without it taking forever. Um, I may just continue on at, with Down the Hole and The Man with Two Faces, or whatever the last 2 chapters are after I read The Forbidden Forest, just to get this book finished. Yeah. So, anyways, thank you for bearing with me on all of this, for pushing through. If you're here, that's awesome. Let me know down in the comment section down below. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe, because eventually I'll have more of this. I am working on this. I am trying. It's just taking a long time to be stable, and barely was today through it. So, may the chaos of your existence be beneficial. Catch you on the flip side, whenever the flip side may